Hello, this is my 2022 Triumph Speed Twin, and today I'll take the bike on the highway just to get an appreciation of how it feels at speed, in terms of if you see any difference when I ride with the helmet in terms of wind noise and just vibrations, all that, just to give you an appreciation of what it is at speed. In my previous video I said this isn't necessarily a touring bike. Well, of course you can take it wherever you want, and I had a Yamaha FZ07, now called MT07, and I took that from Pennsylvania all the way to the tail of the dragon. And obviously that's a naked bike, and in terms of horsepower, everything like that, it's actually less than this, but it felt very nimble. But obviously it's doable. The Tracer 9 GT that I have, obviously with the side cases, heated grips, windshield, all that, could be seen as a more long distance bike, but this does hold up its own. It does on the highway, and it all depends how you feel about wind hitting you. I don't really mind, and like I said, I went multiple days riding with just a very small windshield on my FZ7, and I didn't mind it. I just didn't mind it all that much. If you do have bits of the highway, stretches, and you're at speed, then you do get pulled back. Your neck, you're just exerting yourself a little more, and I think that's the only problem if you're going to be doing that for long stretches at high speed. You're going to get fatigued more, and if you're trying to get somewhere and enjoy that area. So we were trying to get to the tail of the dragon, and you want to get there. Now you want to hit a lot of stuff on the way there, but there's not a lot of time to fool around. So if you got to take a few hours on the highway just to get to a place more quickly, then this is where you may get fatigued more. And if you're trying to put 7-hour days or so riding or more, that's where I'm coming from with that. So good doggy. So it's it depends on your personal preference, I guess, in terms of the windshield, the windscreen, and how long you want to ride. But once I get up to speed, we'll see exactly what noise we have. I'll give you any vibrations I may feel that you may find annoying or not, and we'll go from there. Alright, well, we're getting near the highway, and if you look at the dash here, you can see that my miles per gallon are about 44, and my range is 118 right now. I had disconnected the battery, some of the terminals, when I put my battery tender, so I think that reset the miles per gallon. It was higher than that. I want to say it was about 48 before that, and the range about 120. It goes a little above that, 130 or so. Since my last fill up, I've ridden a bit, and as well I've been doing a little more spirited riding, so that hasn't helped. But in terms of miles per gallon and range, I mean, it's a small tank, and you're not going to get that 200 miles on it. It's definitely, if you do go touring with this, you will have to stop more often to fill up. And if you're like me and you end up going in the mountains, the Appalachians, to the tail of the dragon, sometimes when you see a gas station, you better stop, because that's all you're going to find. Dollar Generals and gas stations may be your most important thing on the way there. But it's not bad. I think the Tracer 9 GT is averaging 50 miles a gallon, and the range, I mean, I can easily get over 200 miles on that. So on this one though, yeah, it's a smaller tank, and don't expect a great range, but the miles per gallon should be higher than what it's showing here, 43.8. Maybe it'll go up once we get on the highway here, but depending how we ride, maybe not. Yeah, so hopefully you'll be able to see the difference of me talking. My helmet's a Shoei RF 1200, and my everything's, the shield is shut properly, and my vents, well, the one near the mouth is closed. The ones on top of my head are open a bit. So I guess we'll see a difference as I get on the highway. And in terms of noise coming in from the wind, obviously, I don't think the bike's doing anything weird to the wind, but we'll see. Okay, so we're at speed right now, and there's really, I don't feel any vibration in the seat at this speed. Obviously you'll be able to hear through the microphone if you're finding a lot more wind coming through or noise. I'm not getting any buffeting or turbulence, so it appears that the wind is pretty smooth here. If I put my hand below my helmet, I don't hear a change. In my FZ7, I had put a small windscreen at one point, and that was pushing the wind right into the bottom of my helmet, and it was loud. By putting my hand right here, it would stop it. So, the windscreen was a problem. Here, it appears that I get clean air flowing through. So my head's not shaking, and maybe that's apparent in the camera. You're not seeing any of this. So I don't feel the turbulence or anything like that, or any buffeting. And this is 6th gear. So in terms of speeds you want to go to, yeah, I no turbulence, no buffeting for me anyway. So I'm about 5'11", and my NCMO, I don't know, it varies, maybe a 31 really, or so. So I know the length of the legs could matter, but how high you sit up on the bike, but about 5'11". So, for me, riding this bike like this, I'm not getting turbulence, I'm not getting buffeting. As well, at this speed, I'm not getting vibrations through the seat. At higher revs, so I will. So if you're above 6,000 RPMs and always holding it there, then it might get annoying. You get the little vibration in your seat, and yeah. So overall, if you're riding on the highway with this, it's obviously not a problem. The engine's big enough to really handle hills and anything like this, and it's not going to rev very high too. You can see here it's about 3,000, so it's not that bad at all, and you can have a pretty nice ride with it. Smaller bikes, when I had my Honda Shadow, that thing would struggle at higher speeds in terms of start going uphill, or some vibrations with it, like it's, if you're trying to pass someone, it's just not as responsive. Obviously this is a completely different bike. I'm comparing the Honda Shadow. It was a 750, also a twin, but they're two different bikes. So here you have a lot more power, and where can you get vibrations to happen? If I downshift and if I give it some gas here, say I'm gonna pass, yeah, slightly above 5,000, start feeling some vibration in the foot pegs maybe, and I didn't feel it in the seat too much. So overall, it's not bad. I find that my Tracer 9 GT also has going when you're accelerating, especially uphill, that vibrates through the seat. So that's at, especially as you go into higher RPMs. And the street triple that I had actually was pretty good. I didn't feel many vibrations at all. That wasn't bad. So it all depends what you plan to do with the motorcycle. And I would say though that yes, if you do plan to take this long distance, it would be, I think, a better choice than the FZ07 that I took to the Dragon. You just have more power on tap, and if you're loaded up like I did. So I had a whole, I had to strap on a whole bunch of bags to the tail of the bike with the FZ07 when I went there. Some camping equipment in case we camped, couldn't find a hotel or anything like that. And it's and that bike still had a nice amount of power, but this would definitely be smoother, I would think. So this is at 6th, and you can see how I don't have to shift down. I could just give it gas and no problem. And that's the thing with this big twin, that torque low down is very nice. It's very nice. There it goes, 6th gear, and let me give it some gas. No problem. No problem whatsoever with it. So yes, I had mentioned that this is not a long distance touring bike as compared to the Tracer 9 GT. But of course, you could take it, and I don't think you'll have any problem on the highway if you have to get out of the situation by accelerating. No problem. It'll do it. No worries there. I mean, it's a powerful enough bike with a little less than 100 horsepower, and what is it, 86, 88 foot-pounds of torque, I don't recall. So yeah, I don't think there'll be any issues. So that was a little highway portion. What I'll do is I'll ride back a bit more in some back roads on the way back, but hopefully this gave you a taste of how it performs on the highway. So, in summary, for me, I don't feel any buffeting or turbulence, so the wind goes smoothly around me, or on me I should say. No problem there. In terms of vibrations at speed, I don't feel anything in the foot pegs, I don't feel anything in the seat, so no problem there. So overall, yes, if you want to go long distances, it's just a matter of luggage, how you want to load up the bike, and basically the seat's not too bad long distance, but that I've done a few hours with it, but not 6-7 hours. Overall, I would say the biggest thing is usually when I take longer trips, I try to do back roads. So I think most of us do, if I can. I try to plan it that wherever I want to get to, I'll get there by back roads. If I do have to take long stretches of highway, so this is where you'll want to, and if that's the way you ride, then you'll want to decide if this is the kind of bike that you want to take touring all the time. Don't forget there's no windscreen, and that fatigue is going to get there depending what speeds you go. So right now, if this is about 70, you're starting to feel that resistance. So it's not an issue in that sense. Your neck's going to be, you're going to have to just stiffen up a bit in order to beat that resistance. But can you do that over the course of many hours? I guess it depends if you've been doing neck exercises or if you tend to get stiff or not. I've done it on the street triple. At one point I had to get to past from where I am here, 5 hours trip, and about 3 hours of it, just to get there I took the highway, and maybe 4 hours of it, and you're going maybe 75, 80, depending what the speed limit is, if it's 70 to 75, and you're kind of hunkering down on a naked bike. It's you're feeling that resistance, and is that going to be pleasurable for you or not? That's the key. But I think here, no buffeting, no turbulence, it's very doable. There, let's see what we have here. Let me shift down, fourth. Low run, not too bad at all. See, it gets there no problem. So as I mentioned before, at low speeds or around town or in twisties, you got plenty of torque to just feel that acceleration. While as it happens, at speed as well, you have plenty of power to feel the acceleration with this bike. So maybe that's the difference between this bike and say the Street Twin, that's lower in horsepower. But I think at any speed on this bike you're doing pretty good, and even in sixth you're feeling that torque, you're feeling that low acceleration, and it's nice.